Okay. Now, this local government election, of course, appears to have been plagued with some controversy, of course, largely around the nomination or lack thereof of plenty of Liberal candidates in loads of local government areas, including, of course, Wollongong and the Shoalhaven. But Kiama Councillor and now Kiama Council candidate Mark Croxford got in touch with us because the Electoral Commission had rejected his nomination of a group to run from the Mark Croxford and Your Community team above the line. To explain a little more, Mark Croxford joins us now. Mark Croxford, good morning.
Good morning, Melinda, and good morning to your listeners.
Okay, tell us what happened here.
So, Mel, we lodged our nominations well before the close of time and subsequently received advice from the Commission that they rejected the nomination of one Les Kamada, who was one of my 5 candidates. Now, what this actually means is that I no longer have a group of 5, which means that we're not entitled to an above-the-line group voting square, and we have to rely on what is essentially a more complex below-the-line voting strategy. Now, without a group voting square above the line, that means voters need to correctly number at least 5 candidates below the line for their vote to count. And this adds a layer of complexity, increases the risk of informal votes, which has the potential to negatively impact our chances of getting at least me, if not more, of our team elected.
Okay. What was wrong with the nomination form relating to one of your 5 candidates?
So with Les, what they were saying, and we got conflicting advice from the Electoral Commission. Initially, they were saying, and you may be aware, Mel, or your listeners may or may not be aware, there are 4 parts of forms that you have to upload, each part separately. A, B, C and D. A is about the individual, B is about the nominators, C is a statutory declaration, and D is statistical information that they use. Now, the initial advice was, Part C was wrong. And I said, no, it wasn't. I'm a JP. I signed it. I uploaded it. It's fine. Then they came back to me and said, Part B was missing. I said, come on, guys, be consistent. Which one is it? It's Part B. What you did was you uploaded 2 Part A's. I said, well, I actually contacted the Electoral Commission well before the close of nominations and sought your assistance to remedy any errors or make any amendments that were necessary before the close of nominations.
So what you got in touch with the Commission to just say, can you just look over my nomination forms and make sure they're all okay for me before the deadline hits?
Yep. And I know that they did that for other groups as well. I know of at least 4 groups in Kiama, and there are 9 groups running in Kiama. I know of at least 4 groups in Kiama where they were afforded that courtesy, yet my group wasn't, because I actually signed some of those other groups' stat decks in my capacity as a Justice of the Peace. So, Mel, the issue is, and successive electoral commissioners have been screaming for more funding to help fix their IT systems. But when you upload your forms and you hit lodge, and each time you upload a form, you get a green light, like a traffic light, to say, yep, that form's uploaded, you're okay, you're good to go. And you upload the next. Anyway, I got 4 green lights. Now, in a perfect world, you'd think, yeah, that's pretty good. I got 4 green lights, good to go, lodge. Once you lodge your forms, there is no way for you to check them. So you have to rely on the good nature of the Electoral Commission to come back to you. Now, in 2021, I received a call from the Electoral Commission literally minutes before the close of the nominations to get me to make some last-minute changes to my form. Now, on this occasion, despite following all the recommended procedures, no assistance was provided. And I'm just concerned that my team was not afforded the same courtesy as the others, which is a clear denial of procedural fairness.
So you accept that you made a mistake. So to put it really simply, it sounds like you had to upload 4 different forms for each candidate. You accidentally uploaded 2 copies of the same one instead of 2 individual ones. So you did, say, 2 of number 2 instead of 1 and 2 or something like that. Is that?
Yeah, okay. Pretty. That's a simplified answer.
Okay.
And of course, the Electoral Commission will say, well, it's the candidate's responsibility to lodge the paperwork correctly. But as I said,
kind of fair enough, isn't it, Mark? Or I don't know.
Well, no, not really, Mel, because once the documents are lodged on the portal, as I said, you cannot access them to verify or correct any errors. And candidates rely on the Electoral Commission for assistance, just as they have provided to other candidates as groups, and as I said, including 4 groups contesting the election in Kiama that I've been told about. So I just think, listen, I'll cop it on the chin. Now what I've got to do is focus on helping voters understand, if they want to vote for me, how to navigate this complex situation and make their votes count.
Yeah, I don't know what the statistics are in terms of how many people choose to vote below the line and number every box as opposed to just putting one above the line or whatever.
Yeah, it's not high. No. I think optional preferential voting makes it quite easy. And in fact, most people just number 1 and walk out so that their votes exhaust, so that there are no preference flows. Because at the end of the day, the preferences are the choice of the individual voter. Whilst we as candidates might give them a suggested guide as to how we'd like them to vote, ultimately the power's in their hands.
Yeah, well, look, it's a shame for you, and a few people have been saying it's an overly complicated process that's very onerous and time-consuming.
Oh, it's terribly complex, and it's very onerous. In fact, I'll be writing to the members of the New South Wales Parliament's Joint Standing Committee on Electoral Matters to draw their attention to our experiences and the procedural inconsistencies that have been applied to candidates. But I want to emphasise, Mel,
we do have to move on,
about
Mark,
one candidate. It's about ensuring fairness for all. They did it for some, but
and not for
me.
all, and that's a fair point. Mark Croxford, thanks very much for your time this morning.
Good on you, Mel. Thanks for your time. Bye-bye.
That is Mark Croxford, who, had one candidate rejected from his team, which means he'll only be able to be listed below the line at this election.